The overthrow of Bashar al-Assad in Syria is a momentous moment for the Middle East. It's momentous for several reasons. Mostly, it's momentous for the people of Syria, who have lived under the Assad family regime for 54 years. Before Bashar al-Assad was his father, who came to power in a coup in 1970. This has been a very hardline regime that's been extremely unpopular with the people of Syria. An estimated 300,000 people died in the Syrian civil war. And that ended effectively in 2018 when Assad had about 3/4 of Syria, but other parts of Syria were controlled by other forces. And one of these forces was the group known as HTS, which was up in the very northwest of Syria in a small isolated province. And they're the ones who took an opportune moment to attack the Assad regime when they thought it was at its weakest. And the reason why they thought it was at its weakest is because during the civil war, Assad was propped up by three key allies: Hezbollah, the terror group in Lebanon, Iran, and Russia. They came to his aid. The Russians bombed the people of Syria, and the Iranians and Hezbollah gave troops to Assad. This time, there was no such help on any scale whatsoever. Iran and Hezbollah are busy effectively fighting Israel, and Russia, of course, is busy fighting Ukraine. So suddenly Assad, when this rebel group attacked from the north, had no help. And the Syrian army, the difference this time, they chose not to fight. They basically put down their arms. Any resistance was basically token, which of course is why this group charged through from the north, taking Aleppo, taking Homs, and eventually, over the weekend, taking the capital, Damascus. The question in Syria is what comes next. This group that has led the rebel invasion, known as HTS, is a group used to be called al-Nusra. It used to be affiliated with Al-Qaeda. And in fact, the group is still listed as a terrorist organization by the United States. However, the group maintains that it is a much more moderate group these days. It has disavowed itself from Al-Qaeda and from Islamic State on their attack on Damascus from the north. They did not try to take any prisoners. They did not try to harass anybody. Whether this group is now as moderate and sensible as they claim that they are, we really don't know. All of a sudden, this group would be very surprised, I think, by the fact they've taken all of Syria. They now find themselves effectively in control of the country. They're also in coalition with a fairly ragtag group of Turkish-backed militias known collectively as the Syrian National Army. The United States and Australia and the West will have one key objective here in Syria, and that is just to make sure that whatever replaces the Assad regime is not an Islamic State type terrorist group. I think overall, certainly in the West, there is a great deal of celebration, and a great deal of celebration in Syria, that the murderous Assad regime is finally finished.